Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 387. Today is Saturday, October 16th, 2021, and I'm glad you can join me today. Maybe you can hear the fire truck sirens. I'm not too far away from a fire station. The windows are open. We are in the midst of the warm days of San Francisco. Tomorrow it will be 57 and raining. So to give you an update, because I was like distraught last week, Secret Project is lost. Dear Sweet Level 1 and I biked back to the scene of where I last knew where it was, and we retraced our steps all the way back to where the Uber picked us up. No days. So I've posted on Craigslist, I've posted on Nextdoor, I've heard back from no one. It is gone, which is sad. So I need to get some replacement bits and bobs, be sad that it was in the SSK project bag that was specially made for me, and move on with my day. It was turning out really cute. So that is why last episode was mildly derailed, because it was like, where is it? What's going on? We don't know where it is, but at this point I think it's safe to say that it's gone forever, which is sad. So, as a result, I cast on something new that had nothing to do with it. So, one thing that I ended up, where would it be? So, when I was like looking at the stash, it was sort of the case of like, what seems to be a little bit too crowded right now, and what can I do about it? Oh. Well. I think I now know where that marker came from. As you do. So, which is good. I was wondering what was going on there. We will reinstall it. Okay, so rejigger. All right. Oh, it's been, or would it be? We ended up biking to where we had last seen things, so I'm feeling a little bit tired right now. I thought that we would be biking there, and then it turned out that it was just easier to retrace the steps and go on with our day, so we then had to return and where to be, and that's the problem with living at the top of the near the top of the second tallest hill in the city, is it's always easy to leave. It's always hard to return. Alas. So, like, legs are definitely tired and a little goofy feeling. I am drinking coffee, even though it may be a smidge late for that nonsense. And it is delicious too. It's probably too hot for coffee. Luckily, it's not 90. It's like 77. Oh wait, no. My computer says 80. It's a very comfortable day. I could probably be wearing shorts right now, and it would be fine. So, so I tried knitting on this project during a movie, but I didn't end up getting particularly far because the maneuver in which I do the increase on is something where you can't feel what stitch you need to lift and twist in order to make it. And I concluded on this version of the hat that I was going to do the lift and twist instead of the backwards loop. Technically speaking, they are the same, but the lift and twist makes a tidier decrease because you're stealing yarn from below instead of giving it, effectively speaking, yarn over in. I'm knitting this out of a hand-spun fractal gradient that I put together as part of the Clemis and Clemis drum carding for fractals glass. So this is the 3-color version. So it is made up of yellow, blue, and white fiber that I created in a certain pattern. And I think it highlights the construction of the hat really nicely. So this is the Tensfield hat by Martina Bam. There was definitely like a funny fangirl moment on Instagram where it was like, I think Mary Annarella had asked, like, what are you working on? I'm like, I'm working on a Tensfield hat. And Mary Annarella was like, I love Martina Bam. And then Martina Bam was like, I love you. And I'm like, I love you both. So, I definitely have yarn and a pattern for another Mary Annarella sweater. Would it be? Did I knit 2 of them? I think I've only knit 1, but I do really, or would it be the case where when it comes to following designers and dyers and other such nonsense on Instagram, your content has to be like at least half your life for me to want to follow. If it is all advertising all the time, like I'm just not going to be interested in that. Or would we? At the end of the day, would it be? Do not want to voluntarily sign up to constantly be bombarded by advertising for your business. Would it be? But what I do want to see is pictures of what you're doing and pictures of the cool things or whatever, what you're doing in the knitting and spinning world, and then pictures of your life. I don't know. That might just be voyeuristic of me, who knows? Ooh, it's past the clock. So even though I have not knit many of Mary Annarella's patterns, she does have a very lovely Instagram feed with pictures of walks and fun things she's up to and that sort of thing. And what would it be when she does promote her patterns? Like, she can be very clever about that as well. So some of the stuff that she did for the Knights Who Say Knit are delightful. So I feel like she has a really good sense of humor. So all of that to say, would it be? I do follow them both. And I do enjoy the patterns they make. So this is pretty scrunched on the needle right now. I did manage to knit it onto, or because these circulars were circulars that I had initially purchased for Socks on Toe circulars, so they're like 12-inch size or US size ones, the 2.25 kind. I think I just got a response back from my sister. What would it be? It's like the lazy way. I think my siblings actually properly call me on my birthday. I just text. want to talk, we can talk. So, not too crazy there. But so this is going along pretty nicely, and I have done a variation of the tens field pattern in which once I made it to the proper head circumference, I am now working in the round, maintaining the pattern by increases and decreases. And this is going to allow me to create a folded brim. Honest to goodness, US size 1s are probably a little loose for how fine this yarn is. So it's like 717 yards. Ooh, 717 yards for 3 ounces. So super fine. Super fun. I'm glad that I'm doing this row in the daylight because that would have been a little bit hard to do otherwise. Would I have picked yellow had I had all of the colors of the rainbow to choose from? Maybe not. But it does end up turning out sort of cool because the yellow and blue combine to make green. And that is lovely. Like, scroll up. Cool beans. Okay. What do we? That was the text message letting me know it had landed. So not too crazy. So it's been enjoyable so far to knit. I think I'm done for the time being on tens fields for a while. But who knows? I might decide to cast on another tens field with the other skein of handspun I did for the Clemis and Clemis samples, because that would probably look cute too. Or if it's the case where I weigh how much yarn I have left over when I finish this one and I know that I can eke out another hat with it, I might do that too. We shall see. So I'm getting aerodically. It looks like I will be able to fit the majorly blue section in here, and I might be able to omit the majorly yellow section, but I already have the majorly white section already in here. So that's good. Yeah, and the other thing that I'm doing here is let it be. I'm knitting gartering around, but it's not like it's a big deal. It's fine. I know the magic number on this hat is pretty intense. But whatever. Because like this is a hat sized for my head, so I ended up, or would it be? Because I think my head ends up being like 23. I don't know, it's 23 or 22, I think, roughly speaking. Yeah, 22. So, whatever, 2 inches negative ease, folded brim. The fiber content is merino and is very lovely, but it was like a little nippy. So occasionally I'm picking out little balls. This was the last one that I ended up, this was the last thing that I ended up making up in the class. It was actually nice because I did the carding for drum card, or the carding for fractals class on a Saturday, and then I did the shave 'em to save 'em class on Sunday. So I wrapped up making the sliver for this one Sunday morning before the next class started, so that was cool. What it be? And if you're a spinner, I highly recommend their classes. understanding that it's gonna make you want to buy a $2,000+ piece of equipment. Like, they're totally doing classes to sell you drum carters, but I'm not unsatisfied. Actually, that's an interesting question. Speaking of drum carters, so I'm taking part in a Secret Santa fiber swap, and I think I'm supposed to get an email about who my swap partner, or who my swap bee is going to be. And I am going to drum card something up for them, because I feel like that is how I share my love. So it'll be what it'll be. What's hilarious about it all is it still takes me like a significant portion of an afternoon to do 4 ounces. It's like I'm glad I'm not hand cranking. So that's fine. Like it is still an investment in time, but it's just a little bit less investment in elbow grease. Whatever. So this is coming along nicely. Last I checked, I wanted to make a 4-inch brim, and I was at 3 inches. And because of how fine this gauge is, it'll be an awful lot of rows before I'm to the point where I can start closing off this hat. And so as it stands right now, where this marker here is actually like the top of the head. And so that's just sort of the final part of the hat is filling in the rest of that. So should be good. Could I have knit a right proper shawl with this? Probably, but this is fine. Would it be? I figured this was going to be a good way to highlight the yarn, and I think it is. It's cool. So, not too crazy. Let's see, any other? I don't think there's anything else about this hat. Whatever, it's 17 minutes in. Whatever. Not being efficient about it, but whatever. So, that is the story there. So I have my other one in there for the time at which, what would it be? Once this shrinks sufficiently, then I need to switch to 2 circulars or magic loop or something. Probably not magic loop. I avoid magic loop if at all possible. So not too crazy there. Nice little palette cleansing project for there. I did actually cast on a sock for the knit along I'm running, and I am really super pleased actually with how it is knitting up. So that is lovely. So this is, or would it be? We shall hold it in the appropriate way. So this is Skew. I think it's Lana Grossman. It is a free pattern on Knitty. Lana Holden is the designer of this one. And what I ended up doing was, the first time that I knit it, I copied all of the text off of the website and then formatted it into a document with 2 columns. So somewhere I do have like a paper copy of this floating around, and I made it to the foot. So that is exciting. And now I just have to keep repeating these rows until it's about time to start the heel. So that'll be, I don't know, probably not too much longer. Oh, you have to look at it from afar. I bring it closer. Oh, there we go. We just had to get into the zone of probability. Will you focus? The colors look pretty good, but obviously it's not focused. See, we can't get the best of both worlds here. Oh well. So I was supposed to like look up what was going on with this yarn. So I'll just do that now because whatever. So this is Three Waters Farm that I spun as an experiment. Let's go back into time. I spun this a while ago. So in 2017 I had like this whole I did a lot of sock yarn experiments. This is BFL. The colorway is Color Music, and it is 340 yards in some amount of weight. And then I have 42 yards, which I chain plied. So it is a little thicker than what, or would it be? It is a little bit thicker than a normal finger, or whatever. It's a little thicker than a fingering weight. So I am knitting these on US zeros, 2mm needles, getting about an 8 stitch per inch gauge. Since it is more on the sporty end of the spectrum, this should be ample as far as the gauge is concerned. It probably would have hurt a little bit to knit these on the double zeros, and I might have double points. I know that I do have the double zero. I'd probably have double points, but 1.75mm needles. But this is how far I got since I cast this on Thursday. Because I was starting to get a little bored of that. That's probably the sign that Tenfield is not what I need in my life right now. But sometimes you just need a garter project of doom, because that is what you need in your life, and I'm okay with that. So this yarn is very crazy and twisty because I spun it as an opposing ply yarn. And so you can maybe see how much broing this has got. So it's very energetic. So I think I did 2 plies Z, 1 ply S, plied it all S. And so the S ply is super crazy. I'm not entirely sure how I did the color handling on this. It does look like I have 2 plies that are very close to the same color and 1 ply which is different, which I think is the crazy ply, but it's hard to tell at this point. And I figured that because of sort of like the color handling in this, that it was going to make a nice looking skew. And the color changes are definitely happening frequently enough that you can definitely see the construction in the sock itself. But then it isn't, or would it be, on one hand it's easy knitting, on the other hand there's a lot of changes that happen. So you have your toe, then you have the mid toe, then you have the foot. You have to work on the foot that long before you transition to getting ready for the heel. Then after you knit the heel, then you have all the fun there. So I don't think I'm gonna make them super long. I think I'm betting what's gonna end up happening is after I get the heel turned, then I'll just even up. I'll just end up evening it up and putting some ribbing on and calling it a day. it probably doesn't help that I don't know how much I started with. Or I know how much yardage I have, but that will be annoying to figure out more of. So it's okay. I don't even think I started a Ravelry project page for this. So this has got all of these like cool jewel tones and then bright pops of like yellow, orange, and red. So, and I'm just charmed by knitting with this right now. So that is good. And I've already knit with the Kindred skein to this one. So, like there's a couple of different ways that you can implement an opposing ply sock yarn. I knit Hey Brown Berries Now in Neck Socks out of my Southern Cross Fiber BFL opposing ply sock yarn. And so what I did for that one was that everything got plied in the direction that it expected, and it's maybe a little bit closer to like a cable construction at that point. Whereas this one is probably highly, highly energetic. But when it's been knit at a pretty tight gauge, or to be, since this has been knit at a pretty tight gauge, that means that all of its warbliness is probably not going to be too obvious. Basically. But it should be a good little project. I'm probably not going to finish this by the end of October, but I have gone decently far in it, so that's nice. Since I'm going to be knitting maybe a little bit more than normal sock size on this, because 8 stitches per inch is a tight gauge with this yarn. Would be normally I do 9, but this is what the yarn wants, so this is what the yarn gets. So it should go fairly well. And then I know that I have 42 yards of chain ply leftovers of this if I get into a little bit of trouble. So I'll just have to keep an eye out on what's going on here. But yeah, no, that is a little weird that I didn't actually weigh it. That is unlike me. Oh well, whatever. I probably should have waited before I started. I just didn't look up the stash entry before I started, so there's that. So should be fun. I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. I remember when I spun it, I was disappointed because my chain ply leftovers were so gorgeous looking. I'm also getting a little froggy right now, so there's that. But I'm really loving the knitted fabric on this, so that's fine. Or would it be? Or it is cool to have this be like all mixed up and that sort of thing. I have no clue which end of the ball, or would it be? It was like, what was it? I definitely brought this yarn because I had finished it shortly before DFW Fiber Fest. I brought this yarn to Judith McKenzie. I was like, is there anything I can do to fix this? Because I didn't intend to make this. And she was like, this is delightful, and I'm going to go home and spin some for myself. And it's like, okay, whatever. She was also a little mystified at how balanced this game was, despite its terrifying energy, but basically all of its energy. It spent all of its energy being slinky. All slinky style. But not like slinky in the drapey way, but slinky in the spring. So, should be good. So now, what would it be? We're cooking with gas, we're going down the foot, things should be pretty good. I initially started this on double points. And then as I was like trying to knit on it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so lost. So I had to decrease my number of double points. So I had my beginning of round be on a single needle and then break up the other side. And then I was able to keep track of where I was and not feel like everything was broken forever. So I'll just be proceeding down the foot, call it good. Have another pair of very solidly knit handspun socks. Hopefully, it should be stretchy enough. No nylon content in this, but no nylon content on the other opposing ply I made. And so this will count for the discovery cowl because I'm trying to find, or would it be, I spun a lot of sock yarn to figure out what would make the best socks for me. So what would it be? So now we're gonna find out how this pair holds up. But it seems like it should do pretty good. And then at some point, or would it be? So should be good. I think that this is my 4th pair of SKUs. So not too crazy. So we are on to the final bit. So I started this little ball of fiber last week on the podcast, and I am still working on it, but I have gotten a bit farther. So this is fiber that I'm spinning on my my Jenkins Lurk. Slip that not too far. I am spinning I ended up combining a bat of merino angora that I dyed and then carded, and then batlings from hobbledehoy fiber, sadly no longer dyeing and blending. I combined these bats together to make the drafting experience a little bit better for a spindle project. So I have a Gandalf set and then a blurple going on here. And I managed to get through a decent portion of the ball this week, so that was cool. I even brought it into a waiting room. It was sort of funny because I was leaving my appointment as someone else who was waiting in the lobby at the same time, and they're like, wow, that's cool that you make string. And then I pulled out my hat project and I'm like, this is yarn that I spun too. I don't think that they were prepared for that, but I was the most interesting person in the lobby at that juncture. Which is fine. I don't really care. So I'm just doing I've concluded that in order to better fit my lifestyle, I need to, give that a little bit more structure. That when I'm wrapping a pretty turtle, I just need to wrap slightly haphazardly and then shift everything with my finger to make it look nice. And that isn't too terrible in terms of making it look nice. I think it's easier to make a really beautiful looking turtle if you're spinning a little bit thicker. But I think this is going to turn out to be a pretty fine yarn at the end of the day. My wheel is still empty. The rough plan was to put the other half of this fiber, which is made with, would it be which would be the Voyager batlings, and the Merino Angora, because it's pretty clear to me at this point that I don't think that I can make a pair of yarns and have them have enough contrast to properly use in a project, but I can probably get away with making just a great big giant combo spun thing of yarn. So I think that's going to be my strategy there. So would it take less time if I didn't try to make a pretty turtle? Probably. But it is very aesthetic. So I had the thought that I was going to just keep a spindle by my desk, but I also need to have like sufficient room between my chair and my desk in order to actually spin. Sort of like how I need like sufficient room between my computer and this chair to spin. So it's okay. So I will be done with this ball. Not too much longer. Mostly it's just things get done when you work on it sort of project. So happy with how things are turning out, but also would be cognizant of the fact that I maybe at a point in my life where I'm just a little bit too impatient for spindle spinning. I definitely make better yarn when I'm spindle spinning. But that might not be reason enough to work that. And like honestly it's very instructive, right? So it says whatever. So if you see someone like purchasing a pretty spindle, be like, no, I don't need a spindle because I don't keep a lot of spindle projects going at a given time. It's like I have plenty of spindles. I have the pick of the litter, all sorts of great spindles to spin from. So there is no need for me to get more. And like I'm not like a super cutesy sort of person, so the other spindle that I have has an elephant on it because that was the mascot or the unofficial mascot of my university. So, and the rest of these are just, or would it be? And they are all very, very nice and lovely tools, so there's that. But yeah. Just have to recognize that. So the project has become way better since I drum carded it to, effectively speaking, or to basically recreate a combo draft situation, or to make it easier to combo draft because they were already drafted together on the drum carder. I think that's what I need to say. So there's that. Yeah, so it won't take, I don't know. I'm just gonna let this go at its own pace. Call it good in the meantime. At some point I'll probably want to do things differently. But I think I can probably manage to spin through the 4 ounces on the spindle. I have not waited to see how far I've gotten so far, because this is definitely the first. This is the first hurdle. I definitely know that I will be having more fiber coming. So I did sign up for the base 12 spin along, so that's something that Hitch Strings puts on. for the Christmas time. So you get 12 half-ounce bits of fiber to make a 6-ounce skein, and they have like a live spin along that they do on YouTube as a part of it. So Jill and Nick are both spinning together because couples that spin together stay together, right? So like, what would it be? So I decided that would be fun. Some other people in Completely Twisted and Arbitrary got enabled with me, or I enabled them and decided I may as well enable myself at the same time. So I shouldn't, I shouldn't be too lackadaisical about it, but, yeah, no, definitely feeling the knitting more right now. That's fine. To go where the creativity takes me. But it was also good to get some spinning here too. So, happy with how it's turning out, making sure my computer doesn't go to sleep. Definitely a much more lackadaisical episode this week, and I'm okay with that. So, make sure I'm still recording. Okay. Hopefully there's not an awkward pause in the middle of that. So, should be good. Not entirely sure what's going to be on the horizon next. Since I did end up deciding to cast on the pair of socks, and it is still, or would it be? We are in, at least for a little bit longer, the warmer part of the year here, so it may be wise not to start a sweater quite yet. I don't know if this is going to be the case where I need to explicitly look for something to do like a hand-spun sweater with. That would be like the two birds with one stone approach, because would it be getting a little bit of the hand-spun stash converted into sweaters would free up quite a bit of room, as you do. And then I haven't figured out what I'm going to do about the replacement for the secret project yet. I probably do need to, or would it be, I should order replacements for my size 5 needles and that cord, though. And I'll just have to pay full price for that, because well, not necessarily full price, but I will have to buy tips and a cord to make sure I don't have a hole in my needle stash anymore. Or would it be, like, isn't this the case for whenever you lose something, something ends up turning up right when you go for the replacements, like as soon as you cancel your cards, that's when you find your wallet. Stupid stuff like that. So I'll order size 5 Chowgu red lace tips and a cable, and that's when it'll show up, right? And then we'll laugh, because that isn't necessarily my favorite needle size. My favorite needle size is 3mm, the US 2.5, at least when it seems to come to sweaters and knitting in general. Let's see if I can make this hold together. You know, that case where things are sort of gently falling apart as you're trying to transition. So that is the story there. would it be? Hopefully next year I will be at Rhinebeck. That is somewhat contingent on how much vacation time I have when it gets to that. But hopefully we can make it happen. But this year I'm not. So I hope anyone who is there is having a good time. I don't have Rotary. I was seeing quite a lot of pre-Rhinebeck shenanigans on the Instagram. I haven't seen as much today, but I've also been mostly spending, or I've spent most of today on a bicycle or on foot looking for a knitting bag, so as you do. So would it be, but also would it be the case where I am still glad that I am not in a whatever yarn buying situation at the moment. I feel like or would it be? I feel like we're in a time of plenty. But there's still quite a lot of fiber to go here. So it feels like I am making a dent in the bag, and there is a lot of festive sparkle in here. So that is cool. But yeah. No, it's pretty fun. But in terms of like, or would it be? It was like if we're playing like, I guess how many balls of fiber I have left to go. You definitely getting or would it be? Certainly a situation in which it will take me pretty long to get through this unless I figure out a different strategy of using stuff, right? So it probably means spending more time spinning or spinning in places where I'm currently fitting knitting in. But right now my knitting projects are easy enough that sometimes that's a little simpler. But whatever, this is what the 4 ounces looks like. It is pretty though, so I guess this depends on it just depends on what I decide to do, right? So if I do decide to stick a bobbin on my wheel and actually spin the other half on the wheel, that's it. Should be gorgeous, but then there's also or maybe in order to make a proper thickness yarn, it's going to be a situation in which I opt for center pole balling and making a 4-ply. That's also a distinct possibility. As you do. But now what my mind turns to is thinking about if I want to make what my mind turns to is if I want to take one of my more sampley sorts of spins and knit that into a sweater to see if that makes sense in the context of my plans. So obviously not in frame right now, but my Rami lamb fleece from Rhinebeck 2017 does still need to be dyed, and I've been sampling on how I would like to approach the dyeing of it before I approach the drum carding of the fiber, because I want to dye and lock drum card bats, then mix bats in sort of the method that I've been doing, which is creating layers to make for colors that are spread evenly throughout the yarn, but then have some dimension to them. That's But I need to verify that I like that yarn in a sweater format as well, and whether or not it's actually working in that way. I've definitely instructed someone else to do it in the same way, so I should vet this. I should verify that it works the way I want it to. So, how would it be? So, I might do a little bit of searching around that. Just keep going on this handspun jag for a while. It's starting to get to the point where I'll be running out of time to make things count for fluff stuff, so it may be the case where I finish my 2 handspun projects and that'll be the last thing that ends up counting, because I think I have to like the end of November for that. As you do. Whatever, we'll make it work. And while this doesn't look comfortable, it does feel pretty nice. So, I think that's everything this week. That's where my mind's at when it comes to knitting. Don't anticipate interruptions to the schedule, at least for another month. But it does look like there will be an interruption to the schedule in November, and that is fine. What would it be? So it's looking like vacation is a go, guys. Would it be real proper tropical island sort of vacations? So that should be good. And then very festive working on a tropical island for the week after in order to avoid the horrifying ticket prices. So should be good. But we probably need to pester the Dear Sweet Lovable one, because like we're getting close to like the month out point, so hotel, lodging, car probably needs to get locked down. But permission from work to go. Not even using a day of vacation time to do it. Yes. I was super duper excited to find out that, or would it be, it was the case where I joined, and then like the second day they had, I don't know, something like that. They ended up announcing that, like, hey, we're giving all employees 3 days off on Thanksgiving. We're just shutting down for the whole week of Thanksgiving. Yes. So that is exciting. Let it be. So this makes me happy. But it probably means that there won't be any recording during that time period, and there typically, I don't know, there might or might not be. Whatever. We'll just go with the flow. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.